All right. What is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. We are going to go over a nice technical analysis on TLT. And man, TLT has been an absolute bloodbath today. All right. Down over 1.14% at the time of this recording. We've got lots of economic news coming out tomorrow, as well as non-farm payrolls on Friday. So I expect the market to be more of a roller coaster. We're also going to take a look at HYG, which is the high yield corporate bond ETF, as well as LQD. This is the investment grade corporate bond ETF. Both of them really having some triangle patterns here. TLT broke down from its larger triangle pattern. We're going to cover that. Okay. We're also going to take a look. All right. We're seeing all of this while the NASDAQ 100 has had its best first half of a year ever. Okay. We're also going to take a look at ETH and Bitcoin, take a look at some other individual names such as Walmart. All right, today's video is sponsored by Simply Wall Street. It's a really great platform that I've used for a while. If you're not a pro at fundamental analysis, it's a really great app or website that they have, and you guys can get a 14-day free trial as well as up to 40% off for the first 100 people to join. So use that link in the description to go ahead and check out as many stocks as you want for the first 14 weeks or 14 days for free, and see, what companies are potentially overvalued and undervalued. You can always email me as well for a one-on-one personal session if you guys are interested in that at zackleytrades@gmail.com. Okay, and we can go over trying to set one up. As always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So be sure to read through the full disclaimer. Now, let's go ahead and get into TLT. And I've been tracking this pattern here on TLT, and we're going to look to see if it plays out, right? I'm looking for a potential five-way bearish structure that could take TLT anywhere from about 96.65 down to about 94.73. Now, what's notable about that is we have this blue box right here, which is actually a gap, okay? And there's multiple gaps on the chart right now. A gap is simply a gap in between the top of this candle and the bottom of the next candle, right? There's all this space in between. I love to chart these gaps up, and that way I can be aware of them and be, notice whenever the stock or the price action is being drawn towards a particular gap. Because these gaps, they tend to fill about 90% of the time historically. The big question isn't if they're going to fill so much, it's rather when they're going to fill. So I love to chart these gaps up and set some alerts. Now, if we look at the MACD, what's really interesting right here, and we'll see the same thing on LQD and HYG, is we're starting to get a MACD crossover to the downside. Now, it's just beginning, so this thing could curl back up at any moment. Okay, that's very possible. A lot of the charts right now, this is a daily time frame, but on the 1 hour and the 4 hour and some smaller time frames, right? TLT is pretty oversold, so we may see some type of bounce soon, or the rest of the data that we have coming out this week could really drop TLT lower. We still have the rest of this gap right here to fill, which is going to be just under $100. We filled some of it, but not all of it. We filled about half of that gap. So pay close attention to this MACD if we get a full rollover and cross down below. It's been a really good exit signal. Okay, now keep in mind we could get something like this, like we got before, where it curls right back up. Okay, but each time that it's curled down below on the daily chart, we see we have a nice move downwards afterwards. Right over here, we see the same thing, nice push downwards. Over here, we see the same thing, nice push downwards. Okay, so the MACD sell signal on the daily time frame has been really, really helpful when navigating the space on TLT. But you don't want to be fooled by any early indications, right? I mean, as I just mentioned, you can see over here too, where it kind of rolls down below, then back up. Okay, or over here, rolls down below, then rolls back up. So you do want to be cautious of that. And I'm not screaming for everyone to short TLT, but really, we're starting to see that it seems to be following the structure, right? We got the initial 1 down, 2 up, 3 down, and then we got our wave 4 bounce. And it appears that we're trying to potentially hit this wave 5 target areas, which is going to put us around that potentially $97 area. All right, now, if we wanted to, we could draw a nice line of support right here, okay? And you can see that it's been tested multiple times. If we actually take a look, there's been 4 or 5 bounces. We're going to see if we can get another bounce off of there, okay, and potentially rally back up towards this 102.88 area. That's a really big key resistance level that we need to get above. Otherwise, if we break this support, really the next support line is going to be right around here on TLT, which is going to be just above basically $100. Okay, right around that $100 area. So Right now, these are the main things that I'm looking at on TLT from a short-term standpoint. We're oversold. Back at support right here. Are we going to get a short-term bounce, or are we potentially going to break through that and come down and try to test this $100 area? If we end up breaking through there, I would say that most likely we're definitely going to be coming down towards this 97 area and potentially trying to fill this gap over here on the daily time frame. So just some things to consider as we move forward. Okay. TLT doesn't have to follow this structure. All right. It can break this structure. It's broken a lot of structures before. All right, and we're just going to see, is this one potential scenario to happen and to come forward. Now, keep in mind, the Fed minutes just came out and they reiterated the same thing, that rates are going to be higher for longer, and that they're actually looking at potentially increasing rates more. Now, keep in mind, as the rates go higher, the treasury yields tend to go higher, and if treasury yields go higher, that's going to result in bond prices going down. Now, is all of this already priced into the market? Are we pricing it in currently? Or is that something that the market has not priced in yet and would result in a drop in TLT? These are some of the questions that you want to ask yourself and things to consider. Now, when you look at HYG is also very red today. Okay. And it does have a small gap up to fill. Okay, we're going to see what can happen there. 74.49, 74.13, and 73.37 are some really big support levels, in my opinion, that we need to hold. We have this triangle pattern here forming as well. We're going to look to see, do we get a breakout to the upside or a breakout to the downside? Now, remember, with these breakouts, all right, you want to look for the breakout retest and then the move lower, or the breakout retest and then the move higher, right? A lot of times people get suckered into what I like to call false breakouts, or look above and look below and fail. So let's say price comes up to here or price comes down to here, but then price actually quickly reverses and goes back within the range. That's going to be bearish or bullish, just depending on which side of the is the false breakout, right? If you have a look above and fail, the reason that's significant is because buyers at the breakout have the full opportunity to step forward on the retest and really push price higher, show that bulls are in control. And if you get a look up below and fail, this is the opportunity on the retest for bears to step in, show that they're in control of price action and drive things lower. If they don't do that, it's going to show that bulls are in control, and we're most likely going to head towards the top of the range, right? So these are some things to keep in mind. Again, if you look at the MACD right here, it is starting to curl back down below on HYG daily. Now you can see over here, it did curl back up above. Okay, and it's the MACD is never, no one indicator is ever going to be a 100% perfect signal every time, but that's what I'm looking at right now, right? If you look at the crossover right over here, you see that it was followed by some red days, and then we crossed over back above and we had a nice little push to the upside. So it will be interesting to see, does this thing roll over and give a true sell signal on the MACD? That's one thing you want to pay attention to. Same thing with LQD. All right, also have another triangle pattern forming here. It's got a huge gap up to fill and a much smaller gap down to fill right here. We're going to see if we get the breakout up to the gap fill, or if we get the breakdown down here to the gap fill. The gap down is right around 105, and the gap up is going to be around that 111, 112 area. It is notable we are rejecting the year-to-date anchored VWAP. That's what this blue line is right now. Essentially, what this is showing you guys is that currently, if you've been dollar cost averaging since the year has begun, you are red essentially on LQD. And you can see there was a lot of consolidation here right at that year-to-date anchored VWAP, but ultimately we ended up seeing that selling pressure to the downside. We're testing the trend line right here. It'll be interesting to see, can we bounce off of this trend line, or are we going to end up breaking through the trend line and trying to get that gap fill to the downside? Also, MACD is starting to cross over here. So, bonds are really at a make or break moment right now. Buyers need to step in. If they don't, most likely a lot of these MACD sell signals are going to start firing off on some of these bond ETFs like LQD, HYG, TLT. That's something that you want to pay attention to, right? Remember, we've got lots of economic data coming out tomorrow and then also on Friday. Okay, so that's going to have a big effect on these bond ETFs and, either be a positive or negative catalyst. Now, let's take a look at the market, okay? And we talked about how the NASDAQ is having its best start, all right, best first half of a year ever. Really amazing to see what these stocks have been able to do, especially after such a brutal 2022. If you take a look at Ethereum and Bitcoin, they look like they're building a strong base here, right? Nice rounded bottom. and looking to potentially retest some of these highs here that we've had, in recent times. Okay, so that's one thing we are watching right now. We're going to see if we're going to be able to get some follow through, right? Look at ETH, clearly broke a downtrend. Look at Bitcoin, clearly broke a downtrend right there. And we're going to see, do they have the potential to come up and retest some of those previous highs that we were just at? And it's not just in tech, right? Or Bitcoin and things. If you look at the Nifty 50, all right, this is making new all-time highs. If we take a look at stocks like Walmart, okay, Walmart is also making new all-time highs. We're gonna look to see if we can get a breakout retest of that 150 area and then end up pushing higher. We have McDonald's also making all-time highs. In there's one saying that I like is being bullish on junk food, or don't try and short junk food. Things like Hershey's Kisses, ticker symbol HSY, things like McDonald's, Pepsi, Coke. A lot of these companies, you have to realize that their consumer, right, and their customer, they're going to be buying in times of a good economy or a bad economy, right? And potentially things like McDonald's, in a bad economy, they might even be getting more business, right? But if the economy's strong, people are still going to eat McDonald's. If the economy is weak, people are still going to eat McDonald's. It just might be a little bit more people eating at McDonald's, maybe if the economy is weaker. But that's definitely something that maybe people should do a little bit more research on, is some of these kind of junk food and not really healthy type of food items, right? A lot of those companies are publicly traded, and you can look through them and scour some of the fundamentals using simply Wall Street, or you can take a look at the charts doing some technical analysis and see if any of those are a good fit for your portfolio. If you look at Apple here making new all-time highs, love to see that. I really love Apple. I went to the Apple store the other day and actually just got one of the new MacBooks over there. And they were talking to me about my business account and things. And I said, hey, well, I just wanted to come spend some money with you guys, honestly, and help support the stock. Okay, the stock has been doing really, really good, and it's been helping me out a lot. So I figured I'd help the stock out some more and go make some purchases, right? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We see more breakouts here in JP Morgan. So it's really, across more than just tech, right? That's what a lot of people said. I just showed you guys a lot of other charts that aren't necessarily tech related. All right. We looked at McDonald's, we looked at Walmart, JP Morgan. We also did a nice breakdown of TLT, HYG, and LQD. So, if you appreciate that, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you guys can also help support the channel by using the link in the description or the pinned comment down below.